Welcome everybody to the Sophos the XGS Migration webinar. My name here is Marc. I'm one of the MSP channel account executives that aligns to the US West and Canada. And if you haven't worked with me before, feel free to reach out to the West and Canada team. We do have other contacts as well in other regions. And many of you may have worked with Ed Korsgaard. Ed's one of our global MSP sales engineers, and he'll be taking you through a lot of the technical aspects on the migration. Couple housekeeping items. We will be recording this, and we are recording this right now, so we will post it. I believe it's also being translated to other regions as well, and it will be posted on there. We do have a Q&A box, so feel free to drop any questions that you might have. We'll be sure to address those towards the end of the webinar. So let's go through the agenda really quickly here. Oh, not able to, there we go. So we're going to be going over a quick reminder of the XG end of life. I know a lot of our partners are doing a big push, and we are as well here at Sophos to get as many of those XGs upgraded to XGS firewalls. To support your efforts, we do have some fantastic XGS promos, and including a brand new MSP Flex one as well. We're going to be talking about why this upgrade is important, and Ed's going to be taking you through a migration demo. We do have quite a bit of resources. We will send all this out as well. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we do have the Q&A box, so please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box. So many of you already know this, but the XG firewall is going end of life. It's coming up very quickly here. It's going to be March 31st, 2025. Been at Sophos for about 7 years, and I've seen a few end of life cycles. We definitely don't want to wait until the very end. When everybody's going to be ordering, we may run short on some XGS firewalls during that time, and it's just a mad scramble. So we do definitely want to encourage as many partners and customers to make that upgrade as quickly as possible. We do have some fantastic promos, like I mentioned earlier. So here are some of the promotions that you should be leveraging today. Now, most of you know by now that we've had these term promotions to help you upgrade XG firewalls to XGS, but I really wanted to highlight the MSP Flex one as well, because it's the first time we've had such a tremendous promo for hardware that's going on MSP Flex licensing on a monthly basis. So the first promo I wanted to highlight is our 3-year promo here. Many of you have used this before. I had a few emails this morning asking me about it. It's going to be the 99% discount on the hardware, and it's going to be a discount on the software as well. And as you can see here, I put a little arrow because it's fantastic. You're going to get the Extreme Protection license, basically for the price of 2 years, but you're getting it for 3 years, which is absolutely fantastic. We do have a slightly newer one that not a lot of our partners know about. It's the 1-year version of this. And as you can see here, it's also a really, really good promotion. 50% off discount on the hardware, and then you get a 33% discount on the Extreme Protection license. The promo codes are in there. I put a little snippet of these promos, but as you can see in the very bottom there, I'm going to show you where to find the full promotion details in the partner portal. The one I wanted to highlight the most, and it's the newest one to the promotion family here, is the MSP Flex hardware promo. We've been asked for many, many, many years, can you get a really good promo on the hardware, but put the license on Flex? And I'm happy to announce that we can. So for any XG and SG upgrades to XGS, we're providing a 70% discount on the hardware, and you're able to license this on MSP Flex. So you don't need to commit to a 1 or a 3-year term with us. You're buying the hardware at a heavily discounted price, and then you're going to be able to license it on MSP Flex today, which is fantastic. I do also want to mention that this promo could be used for existing term XG firewall. So if you have an XG firewall that's on term today, but you do want to upgrade to XGS and move the licensing to Flex monthly, you are welcome to do that as well. I've had a lot of questions around that. If you've seen the first iteration of this flyer, there was only one promo code, a global unified promo code for all partner levels. We did make a change, so if you are trying to use the old promo code, it's not going to work. You will have to use one of these promo codes that you see here, depending on what your partner level is. So I just put a little reminder here. Please use the promo code by partner level if you're using it in the partner portal to quote it, or if you're reaching out to your distributors. you will have to use your partner level specific one. If you're unsure of your partner level, you can find this information in the partner portal as well. Or you can reach out to your local Sophos rep, of course. But fantastic promos. We've seen a lot of great adoption, and we've seen a lot of partners really start that upgrade process earlier. So hopefully that helps. Now, where do you find the information on all these promos? It's going to be in the partner portal. So I put a quick screen capture here. You'll want to log into your partner portal, id.sophos.com, hit the asset library button there at the very top. And then we do have a specific section here on promotions, and then more specifically, XG to XGS hardware refreshes as well. So we have the term versions as well as the MSP ones if you want to drill down into that. Now, I know this recording will be shared for various regions, so please be sure to check your local region to make sure that there aren't any differences in the promotions. For example, the MSP Flex hardware promotion that I highlighted, available in Canada, US, and many other parts of the globe, not available in France, not available in APJ, and not available in Brazil. So be sure to log into your own partner portal and get your local promotion flyers. Now, I know most of the attendees are in the Americas, but we will post this in other regions as well. Who to contact. So if you have any issues with the promo codes, or if you just have any questions, you have a large number of XGs that need to be upgraded, and you need assistance with finding the serial numbers or any of the above, we do have local MSP teams, like I mentioned earlier. For those of you who haven't worked with me, I aligned to the Canada and US team, US West team, but we do have a lot of MSP partner managers specifically supporting your efforts to help you upgrade from XG to XGS, which is fantastic. That's it for me. I think I'm going to pass the baton over to Ed. And just a quick reminder, drop those questions in the Q&A, and we'll get those addressed at the end of the webinar. So Ed, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. So everybody, my name is Ed Korsgaard. As Mark mentioned, I'm a global SE specific to the MSP team. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why XG to XGS first, and then go through a quick demo of a migration. All right. So with that being said, why? Why is it so important to upgrade? Well, first off, of course, the XG series is going end of life. But there are more reasons than just being forced to move over. The XGS series of appliances have a lot of benefits over the old XGs. And you'll even see this during my little demo, as I have an XG and an XGS sitting side by side. And one of the things you'll notice right out the gate is the performance. The XGS has a much better performance than the old XG hardware, not only just for the appliance itself, but taking advantage of our extreme architecture, the multiple CPUs that are in the device that help with increased performance, especially in anything encryption related, TLS inspection, the fast path offloading, all right, and how it handles DPI and the DPI engine, as well as the expanded connectivity. More ports, and you're going to see that as well when you see the migration as well, and that includes both added built-in interfaces and all of the additional FlexiPort modules for the larger devices. Additionally, the XGSs have better hardware design and better quality. It's a fully custom-built product with significant qualification testing before we launched them. And we did this with the XG series, but we've evolved this process. Additionally, we've had better engagement and closer collaboration with our vendors, specifically Marvel and AMD, who provide a bit of the hardware in the devices. And working with them, we've done better testing and gotten more validation from that hardware. Additionally, we've invested in our in-house team of hardware engineers for the XGS design. So again, building on what we started with the XG, we've just kept on going with that. And we have full in-house test labs just to test the capabilities of these machines to get better numbers and provide those to our partners. So, as I've kind of mentioned, to reiterate, performance right out the gate, you're going to see that the XGS is just a faster performing device, improved hardware, and you're going to start seeing added value with every release. Right? Recent edition include things like ZTNA, DNS protection, active threat response. But also moving forward with V21, expected Q4 of 2024 at the moment, V21 will not be available for XG series hardware. This is something that's going to release only on XGS. And V20MR2, which is available on both, soft release today. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a little bit. So with that, let's jump into a short demo. So when we talk about migrating from XG to XGS, it is important to know that we can do an almost any-to-any backup restore. So here in the left-hand column of this slide, we can see backup form factor, desktop, 1U, 1U, 2U, and virtual. What can we restore to? There are a few minor limitations. Specifically the 1ULs and 2Us, the 1U long and 2Us cannot restore to the desktop models. And the 1Us can only restore to the 126 and 136 desktop models. Other than that, it's pretty much fair game. We can restore almost anything to anything. So in my little demo, we're going to go over a few things that we need to check to make sure that are in place, like our backup encryption password, our secure storage master key. The number of ports need to be greater than or equal to the target unit, and there is now an exception to that, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. We can restore from a wireless model to a non-wireless model if we've removed the local Wi-Fi configuration. You're going to see that because my XG is a wireless model, my XGS is not for this demo. When we restore the configuration, we want to make sure that the version of SFOS on the new unit is greater than or equal to the version that was backed up, and your patterns should be up to date before you perform the backup. And of course, when all said and done, verify, verify, verify. So let's take a look at this. Here we have a SG125W. We can see that up at the top. This is a W model. So one of the first things we want to do is come over to wireless. And you can see here that in the access point section, there is a local Wi-Fi 0, but there's nothing configured for it. Right? You can see that everything is off. There's no wireless networks. If I come over to wireless networks, they have been removed. Right? So as far as this is considered, this local Wi-Fi 0 is currently unused. And that's very important if you're going from a W model to a non-W model. If you're going W to W, then of course you wouldn't have to worry about this. Additionally, just to see what kind of settings are here, if we jump over into the network section, we've got a couple of interfaces configured. We've got an internal interface. We've got a WAN link. And additionally, once this finishes loading, there we go. You can see we've got a VLAN bound to one of the ports. A few other settings that we may want to look at here if I check under my rules and policies. I can see that all of the default rules have been mostly removed. The MTA policy is disabled. There's an HTTP scanning rule here. So these are some things that we would just want to check after we redeploy this to the new hardware. So now that we've kind of gone through, checked that the Wi-Fi has been disabled on this unit because we know we are restoring to a non-Wi-Fi, we can come to the backup and firmware. There is an encryption password set, and the secure storage master key for this device has already been set as well. So we would just simply want to click backup now and let this spin until it's ready to be downloaded. You can see when the last backup was taken. And when this is done, we can click the download button to pull down a copy of that backup. So backup successful, download it, and it does give you an option to pick a different password. I happen to know what mine is, so I'm going to go ahead and download this backup. And I'm ready to go. All right, so now that we have our backup, we're going to want to switch over to our new device. So I have done just a little bit here. So I went ahead and went through an initial configuration just to get the licensing out of the way for the purposes of this demo. But what I have here is a blank box. So here I have a XGS 136, and you can see that it's running SFOS 20 MR2. If I were to look through, I can kick on over to, for example, the network. Right. Got a couple of ports configured. If I look at my rules and policies, I still have all the defaults, right? All these little group default items that are still here. But there's not really anything else. This is just a fresh install, a fresh load of this box. Also, you may notice as I click around, it's just much, much, much more responsive than the SG. Just no matter where I go, the screens just kind of appear much faster. You'll also notice it when we restore our image. So coming to the backup and firmware, under the backup restore, I'm going to choose the file that I created just a minute ago, enter the encryption password, and click upload and restore. So it's asking me restoring configuration does the following, it replaces everything. Yep, we're good with that. I hit OK. It's going to ask for the secure storage master key. So I'm going to enter that and click restore. Now, as it parses the backup file, one of the new features of MR2 is this backup restore assistant, which allows me to modify what ports are mapped to where. So for example, Ethernet 0 maps to port 1 now. Ethernet 2 wants to map to port 3, but I happen to know on this box, I actually need it to map to port 2 to be correct. And I'm going to change port 2 here to port 3. And it does give you a little warning at the bottom. Any ports that aren't assigned, they're going to show up as pseudo ports, which you'll just have to fix later, but it will allow the migration. So at this point, I can click restore. It's going to start restoring the backup. And while this runs, I'm going to give this just a couple of minutes. Want to mention one more thing, and that is HA. So with high availability, we have a couple of different options. For both option 1 and 2, we start by just backing up the primary XG device running in HA. In option 1, you can then configure HA on the new XGS devices and then just restore to the primary, and it will synchronize over to the auxiliary. In this case, both of them would need to be SFOS 20 MR2 or later. If you don't have your new devices on MR2, then you can just restore your backup to the device that will be the primary and then build the HA after the fact. So for those of you that are running an HA cluster, just something to be aware of. Right, so coming back, this is still moving along. It does take a few minutes. While this is going, I've mentioned MR2 now a couple of times. So where can we grab this from? Hopefully everybody recognizes Partner Dashboard. I've logged in here to my Sophos Partner Dashboard for our demo account. And if I move under licensing and billing, so here under Sophos Central Firewalls, under licensing and billing, and move to the firewall licenses tab, if I take one of my hardware firewalls, here on the right side, you can see that we have all of the downloads available. Today, 20MR2 is a soft release, meaning that we will not be pushing that, not yet, to your firewalls automatically. It is something that you would have to come here to download and install manually, but it is available directly from your partner dashboard. All right. Excellent. All right. So let's go back and check on our little 136 here. It's moving along. It's at the 85%. It's just about done, and it will have to do a reboot, and then we will be able to verify that it is complete. So while it finishes that up, it finishes its verification, let's talk a little bit about some resources that are going to be available to everybody. First off, we do have an end-of-life frequently asked questions page out on the community. And again, as Marc mentioned earlier, we will be sending out a copy of this presentation and, of course, the recording as well. This XG series, this end-of-life frequently asked questions is constantly being updated. There's actually a lot of chatter in it as well. A lot of partners are in there asking questions, getting their questions answered, and many of those questions are making it into the FAQ. So a very good resource if you have questions regarding the end of life for your XG hardware. Additionally, we now have a dedicated web page to check the compatibility of where you want to back up and restore to. This is a really neat page. It basically has some drop downs. You select where you're backing up from, where you want to restore to, and it will give you a very simple green, red, yes, you can, no, you can't, and any kind of requirements that may exist. From this page, there are also links to many other resources, like the Backup Restore Matrix, various demo videos, help pages, data sheets, etc. And as we just saw, V20 MR2, which has now been soft released, is going to be available for your XGS hardware to make it even easier to migrate those XG devices over by allowing you to select how your ports are going to map to the new device. So even if you have devices with dissimilar ports, we can still migrate those configurations over and just manually select how the port mapping will occur. And there's a great TechVid video that is available. You can get that TechVid video either when we send out this information or it's actually the demo video that's available on this webpage as well. So with that, coming back to my firewall, because it was restored, it's going to have a different IP address. So the default IP address, of course, was 172.16.16.16 for a new unit. The new one, if I were to look at the 125, is 16.16.1. By the way, I did unplug the 125 just so it wouldn't conflict. And we can tell that because after I log in, I can see this is the 136 right here. I can now start verifying that the settings came over. So I can see now my rules, right? All the default rules have been removed. I've got the removed the disabled MTA. I've got that HTTP scanning rule under network. I can now see port 5 has, even though it's unbound physically, it has that VLAN on it. It's renamed port 1 to internal. It's renamed port 2 to WAN link, and it's not port 3 because remember in that migration wizard, I specifically selected port 2 that I wanted it to move to. Right, so now I can see I have a successful migration of an XG to an XGS. And with that, we come to the end of our demo and presentation.
But I just wanted to thank everybody for joining, and thank you, Ed and Steve, for sharing those resources and information. I just want to remind everybody as well, if you are getting quotes for any of the XGS hardware, if you ever run into any issues with the promo code through your distributor, make sure you loop in one of the MSP sales team members immediately. We can jump in and help right away. However, it should work by providing your, just a quick reminder, your partner level for the MSP Flex hardware promotion. So that's the only time I've seen where it hasn't worked, where a partner has made an order for a firewall using that promotion, because we did release one that didn't require a partner level specific promo code initially. Other than that, you should be smooth sailing, and I just want to encourage everybody to have those upgrades completed as soon as possible versus waiting till the very end. Outside of that, so thank you everybody for joining today, and looking forward to working closely with everybody on this call here. Thanks, everyone.